Kalimera, kalispera, kalinigda, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. Well, that's 96.5 minutes you will never get back from your life. Apologies, not from me, but there should be some apologies that go out today. Let's rock and roll.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, hello. We are back together again, and it is not good. And I do not blame Arsenal fans who do not want to join any post-game shows today or watch anything on replay, because I think that 90 plus minutes was enough pain as it is. But if you are here ready to rant, rave, if you still believe the dream's alive, fine. Let's discuss. Let's talk about it all. And back with me is Mr. James Johnston. Welcome back to Squad Central. How you doing, Super James?
So I wish that I could have come on here under much, much better circumstances. It's been a very, very long time. Hey, and Josh is here as well.
Yeah, how's it
now Josh is late, so I've had to switcheroo the names. And look, finally, it's working out. It's working out.
There we
welcome.
go. I'm sorry.
Welcome back, the original tactical squad. You guys have been asking for it, so here they are. They were Super Kev used to love it when he'd be like rubbing his hands with your starting 11s, and he'd love to pick them apart. But you guys always stood up well to the big man. And unfortunately, Arsenal and Everton did not stand up well for the Kevin Campbell derby today. Wow, that's about the worst game I've seen all season. But let's find our manners first. Squaddies, thank you for joining at ease. Squaddies at ease. It is good to see you. We've been together quite a bit this week, and I couldn't think of a better bunch of humans to dissect this. But let's just say some hellos. As per usual, our Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steele's in the house. Please do listen to her. Yanto is hashtagging already. Arteta out. Carol's in the house. Well done, Carol. You didn't go to the game today. You saved yourself. You saved yourself from a lot of pain. Demsek is here. Let's see what he's got. So it's going to be very tough to win the league. Cut Odegaard and Saka out, and we are done. I'm going to talk about all of that. Kev is here. We're certainly not going to win the league top 4 finish. It's already started. Trev is here. Terry's here. Oh, the Arteta outers are back. Neil is here. Sack him his substitutions. We're going to get to it. Adam is here. Reese is here. Tebow's here. Afsar's here. Adem is here. You know what? Today, you guys, Joseph, everybody, I've been defending a lot this season. But sometimes you can't defend the indefensible. My English is that. Does that sound good, Tony? You can't defend the indefensible? That rolls. Okay, good. Vinny and Vespa, very quiet today as well. Let's get stuck into it. First, let's start at the tippy top, James, right? The starting lineup. Don't get into the first half and the second half, because we're going to rip it apart. You know that scene in Greece where the dance is about to, at the beginning of the school year, we're going to yank them, and that's what we're going to do, right? So talk to me about your starting 11.
Yeah, for me, when I saw it, I was like, that's pretty much what I would have played. The only thing I did differently on my show last night was I was very angry with Martinelli and Trossard, and I have been for the last couple of weeks, Sophie. So I said, you know what, give me Raheem Sterling just to give me something different, because I've had enough of those two right now. But looking at it, I had no problems with it, really. I think that's the best that he could possibly. I know Thomas Partey, in terms of a midfielder this season, has probably been arguably our best one. So to drop him is a huge, huge call. However, I think that he was probably game managing Partey like he has been doing, but also where Thomas Partey hasn't been in discussions about renewing his contract, and I don't believe that he will renew his contract. And also, I don't actually want Arsenal to renew his contract. I think you're going to see Rice, Moreno and Odegaard more, because that's more likely to be the three midfielders of the future than any with Thomas Partey in. So I could understand it. However, you would think that, dropping arguably your best midfielder this season is a bit of a risk. But yeah, I had no qualms with that lineup when I saw it first thing, 2 o'clock, an hour or so before the game starts. I thought, well, yeah, that's pretty much what I expected, really.
Yeah, and I know the results. I was sitting here getting ready for the show when Liverpool, with 10 men for 70 minutes, got their equaliser against Fulham. Josh, Patrick calls it a horror show. Skills is mad at Havertz. Don't know if Havertz got any. Havertz killed our team. Substitutions baffling. What did you think at the beginning with the lineup before we get stuck into the problems?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with James. I think that was possibly our strongest lineup on paper. Yeah, based on obviously got plenty of injuries at the moment to deal with, but you'd think Rice at the base of that midfield, it's what we signed him for. Moreno exactly the same. Odegaard, I'm sure we'll get on to him at the moment, but someone give him some caffeine pills, because yeah, he's clearly having the little one is keeping him up. He doesn't look the same player since then. But yeah, I think it was one that, to be fair, I knew this is entirely the game that we'd be going into. Yeah, Sean Dyche at the Emirates. What do you expect? Come on, guys. Let's be real. He's going to put up that 2 banks of 4, maybe 5, and he's going to try and kill this game. And we've struggled for weeks and weeks on end to create in open play. Just because of Monaco with 3 goals from open play, this was all down to the only way we've been scoring is through set pieces. And yeah, I knew that today could be a difficult watch. I just didn't expect it to be that difficult.
Yeah, I think Matt says, felt like if we had 74 attackers on the pitch, but no attack. I read that as, even if we had 74 attackers on the pitch, there's no way we score. 245 of you in live chat right now. Hit the like button, even though there's nothing to like about today, but you can definitely like these two. Right, let's get stuck into it, because the first half was painful, right? It was really painful. I felt the only shining element of the first half was Lewis Skelly, and I believe this player is born to do this. I also think Saka was the shining moment in that first half. But it also seemed to me like when Nwaneri came on in the second half, I feel like Lewis Skelly's better prepared and maybe more ready for the moment, James, to start. That first half. So let me ask you guys this, because it's really difficult when there's so much to talk about that is so problematic. When you know that Dyche is going to set up the way he does, when you know these things, I can't remember what guest it was that was on this week that said, if we can see it, why can't Mikel see it? And even back in the day, we three spoke quite a bit about square pegs and round holes and trying to be smarter than everybody else. And, the genius pep chip that he has in him. I can do this. You talk about Thomas Partey, surprisingly, but yes, in a contract year, looking for another club or whatever it is, playing his best football in a long time. Why, when you have Odegaard, you have Trossard, you've got Saka, you've got, all of these creative players, why can't he see what we see, and why was it impossible to break them down? But also, I know that Odegaard missed chances, but it's more of, why are you doing that when you know what's coming? Why?
Yeah, I think on balance of things, it's very, very obvious what we try to do. We are so right-sided dominant that pretty much like what Fulham did to us last week, is that just put 2 men on that right-hand side of Saka, because you just shut them down, because it's all going to come from that right-hand side. Skelly and Moreno coming in, obviously, to help on that left and to help with Martinelli. And I know that Martinelli obviously had a few chances, and he had a few moments again where Sophie, I hate having to dig this guy out, but it needs, for me, it needs to be studied, the drop off of this player, because it is fascinating how he has gone from what he was to what he is now. And I don't understand why, when he has a run, and bear in mind, I'm gonna have to be very, very careful what I say, because Ashley Young's brother Lewis is the assistant manager at Dagenham and Redbridge. So if I say anything too nasty and I'm over there, I could I could catch some strays from his brother. But when you've got a 39-year-old fullback there who, on his day, is potentially a walking red card now, but you don't run him at all. It was like he was afraid to run at him. This was before he even had a yellow. He looked shackled by Ashley Young. And that, to me, just shows the state of where Martinelli is at the moment. He mentally, and just everything that he's doing on the football pitch. And it's very easy to say, as a person who sat there eating cherry bakewells and drinking Pepsi Max, slating off a professional athlete, but it is absolutely insane. I mean, Moreno as well, he was too high. I was like, just come back two, maybe 5 yards, and then you can feed Martinelli in behind. But he had this overbearing want to be up high, to win it high, which he is very good at. But I was like, yeah, but then if they play past you, Skelly's then on his own. So you're leaving us. It just seemed the whole thing didn't click. And again, with Odegaard, it just seems that if Odegaard doesn't work, then you've got Saka to try and make it work. But he can't do everything on his own. I know there's been seasons where he has carried us on his back like a rucksack and gone, don't worry, lads, I'll do this. But he cannot continue to solely bail out this, because we had this years and years ago. We had it with Robin van Persie. We had it with Alexis Sanchez. They can't do it all by themselves. And I know that a lot of people have got tunnel vision towards January and what we need to do. Well, I'm telling you now, you need to lock him in a room with a bit of pen and a paper and a phone and say, you ring up any winger, a high output winger or striker, to help ease this load. You don't buy left backs or goalkeepers. You buy an attacking player, and you do not leave this room until we have one. That's what you do with Arteta in January.
Josh,
Yes.
how do Manchester United score 4 goals? One of our squaddies just said it. How do Man United score 4 goals against this Everton team, and we can't even score 1? I mean, like I said, I can't defend this today. I know many. I'm not saying the sky's falling. I'm not saying sack Mikel Arteta, but these results, Fulham, today, you're not winning the league. Getting results like that's not a title-winning league. We don't even deserve to win it. We're not even playing like that. How did Man United get 4 and we can't get 1?
Well, it's been a while since I've been on here, so maybe some of the squaddies might not understand this response to it, but United got that because Everton only set up against us because we're a big team. That United team was there for the taking. We aren't there for the taking. No one's getting at us. How much of a threat were Everton to us? That's why, they knew there was an opportunity. Everybody sees Man United now, soft touch. Everybody's going after Man United. Southampton will have a go against Man United. So will Ipswich. They know there's the potential for 3 points. Dyche knew there was no chance. A draw, you could see at the final whistle. Pickford, the way he celebrated that point. That's what they were there for. That was their equivalent of 3 points. It is almost, I did think it was a bit Tottenham versus Man City last season, where, one of the rival teams goes to throw a game in order to accidentally help out another, that we may accidentally see that, by Everton taking points from us and Liverpool dropping points, that the title is going a bit more closer towards Merseyside than it is towards London. But for me, I've actually slightly disagree with James. Not necessarily regarding our entire left side, but I wouldn't be trying to buy or try and acquire a new left winger in January. I think we've got what we need within the squad, and we need the next iteration of Arteta. So 3 years ago or so, Arteta couldn't get a sub right. He could not. He got the timings wrong. He got the personnel wrong. Everything was wrong about it. I thought the subs today were good on paper. They were the right subs at the right time. It was what we needed. But to me, it was the tactics. As James, you said that Martinelli, he looked like if he could have beaten Ashley Young, what was he going to do with it? No one was charging into the box. There was no option for him. He was going to just smash it near post. And just, yeah, it just feels like that's been the issue with Martinelli. That if he gets past a guy, which I still trust he might be able to do, he doesn't know what to do with it afterwards once he's beaten the guy. And the ball's coming in behind him. It was all about the passing was behind the man rather than a decent ball in behind a fullback or behind a defender to allow someone to run in. Yeah, and as you say, it was painful to me to kind of watch it.
You're getting some, Josh, you're getting some pelters, which I know you love in the chat. That some people want me to just get you off. Some illuminated, you're talking waffles. This man should be in Parliament. The amount of nonsense coming out of his mouth. Farok says you're talking. Don't call him a clown. You could disagree with him, but don't call him a clown. That's not what we do here.
No, a clown's got more hair than I do.
Hambo's trying to make sense of this nonsense. I'm not sure if it's Josh or whatever. This is excuse waffle. But why can't it be true what Josh is saying about in response to James, that there were two crosses towards the end of the game, right, where Trossard crossed the ball. Havertz was already off. Who's he crossing to? Do you guys remember that time where Tierney was Mr. Cross FC? We were playing to feet.
Annoyed the hell out of me because he would just head down, bang, in there. No one there.
Exactly. So let's have a respectful conversation, okay? Because he brings up a really good point. The speed of which we're playing is like a snail. It's like one of those snails I see in Cyprus where I'm wondering if my family like cook the snails that are, at my feet in the morning when I'm having my coffee, or they're actually, proper snails that you get in France. It's terrible. And let's have an honest conversation and talk about the manager and the subs, because this is the biggest point of discussion and debate with all the 400 folks live in chat right now. You guys have been asking and screaming for Waneri. He gave him to you for half an hour today. Some of us have been saying we can't understand why Jorginho isn't being given opportunities in these low block games to be able to crack a pass, open up a defense. He gave that to you for half an hour today. A lot of you are screaming, and rightly so, that Thomas Partey, one of our best midfielders, should be playing in midfield, not right back. He gave that to you today. So if Super Kev was on the show today, he'd be yelling and yelling that it's the players, it's the players. However, where I do have an issue with Mikel Arteta today is I know Martin Odegaard, James, had a stinker, right? But he was still the player getting into those opportunities, into those spaces. His finishing was awful. Last season, Odegaard, season before, he's burying those, right? But he was the one getting into those positions. When you need something, when there's nothing in a game, zilch, can't even milk the cow, it's done. Why do you take off your most creative player? And also with Declan Rice, I don't know if he's carrying an injury. We're going to find out about that. But I thought Declan Rice was actually one of the better players in the first half. Why do you make those subs? I get it. You want Waneri to come on. Waneri's not going to give you more than Odegaard. I'm sorry. He's not ready for that moment. That is just in a game where you're in a title race and you need points and you can't afford to drop points at home against Everton, who've been one of the worst teams in the Premier League for 3 years. And you take off Martin Odegaard, who we've been hearing from many fans, many people, the media, even Mikel Arteta, that on a whim he can change a game. Why do you do that? I thought it was asinine.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody put it in the chat earlier. You're probably going to have to scroll to right at the beginning. I think they said something about he's been subbed 22 times, which is the most of a captain.
It's the Dennis
Um,
Bergkamp syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand leaving him on, because when you need someone that can thread a ball through an eye of a needle to somebody, it is Martin Odegaard that's probably going to do it. But he did have for me, he had a terrible game, much like he did last week. I thought his finishing was poor again. Midweek, he missed an absolute sitter. I don't think it was a sitter today. I think they were harder chances. But like you said, 2 years ago, Sophie, he's scoring maybe two, maybe he had three of them that I can count of that I would say were very, very good chances. 2 seasons ago, he scores both. He didn't score one of them today. And when Nwaneri come on, what I was disappointed with is every time I've seen Nwaneri play this season, much like with Lewis Skelly, these players have trusted to give him the ball and do something. You know, when we played Inter Milan away, that was another really, really tough game. But as soon as he come on the pitch, they gave him the ball. He spun 2 players, took a shot. Okay, it went over the bar, but you went, right, that's why you're bringing him on. Because Nwaneri, for me, maybe he's not as ready as you say to start, but he can be an effective player and a game changer. But today it was like we were just bypassing him. When he come on, it was all just still going, go wide to Saka, go wide to Trossard, to maybe pull people out so that then the ball can get in the middle. But the problem is, and it goes back to what you were saying and what Josh was saying, when we pull them out to go into the middle, oh, where's Havertz? Oh, he's back in midfield. Oh, where's Gabriel Jesus? Well, he's playing left back like he normally did. You know, Gabriel Jesus wants to be everywhere but in the box. That's the thing. I'm like, you know, you got a number 9 on your shirt, but you'd rather play left back, right wing back, centre midfielder. That's the issue. And as much as I can say about Arteta and I can say about him tactically and everything else, he is not coaching a player to do that when they cross that white. That's their own intuition. That's their own, you know, right at the end, when those 4 minutes are on, I can't remember what player it is, but he has a bit of a toggle with Jesus, and Jesus is laying in our box on the floor while we're on the breakaway. I'm like, get the hell up, because you're never getting that as a foul. But at the same point, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing just laying on the ground while we're on the breakaway? Because you're the person that's meant to be there to finish. You know, okay, well, he hasn't got a goal for nearly a whole year in the league. You know, he's nearly gone 12 months without a goal in the league. But still, it's unbelievable how these players themselves think this is acceptable. Because I know for a fact Arteta is not coaching them to be as naive and as silly as what they're doing here. And with the subs, me personally, I'd have put Partey into the middle and moved Rice up and then took Moreno off and done that first.
Oh, I don't know. I would have put Rice to right back. I would have done that first. I thought Moreno was having a good game. For me, I thought Rice was our biggest issue in that midfield. Off the ball, superb, as he always is. On the ball, the tempo that was coming from him was a disaster. It's the whole reason Jorginho came on, right? It was because he was the reason we were slow and sluggish is Declan Rice can't play a quick pass. He has to hold it and then run and drive. But Jorginho can at least keep a tempo, can keep us moving through. And that's where I saw our issue. Partey, again, he can do that. Drop Partey in. I'd agree with him coming on in that reason. But yeah, I think the other issues for me, Joseph, we've not even mentioned yet, are fullbacks. Sometimes it would be nice just to see them overlap once in a while, because that was the biggest issue I saw. Saka and Martinelli or Trossard just completely just isolated. If Lewis Skelly overlaps Martinelli once in a while, or Timber, we've seen it this season. Timber and Saka, when Timber is making that overlapping run, superb combination. It will break through any side at that point. Just didn't see it. Just didn't see it today. We just thought, oh no, we'd better keep a bulk of players in that midfield. And it just stuffed the game up. As you say, Odegaard just looked like he didn't have enough freedom because he was being suffocated, because not only were Everton surrounding him, but then we're putting Timber behind him, and we've got Skelly behind him. We've got Moreno near him as well. We just weren't quick enough at the moment to be playing that quick, almost rondo football. I've not seen that in weeks. Saka showed a little bit of it in the second half, but yeah, for me, that was the sub that I was messaging some of the ABW group and just saying, if Rice is going to be a world-class number 6, he needs to get better at his passing. That player that you want to put their foot on the ball or dictate, Xhaka, Xabi Alonso. We could name world-class players from doing this. Rodri as well. That's what Rodri does so well for Man City. Is he's that metronome. And that's the big thing that I thought was what we were missing today.
Yeah. I love this screen name, by the way, Wang Dang Doodle. It's that kind of feels how the game was today. A bit of wang, a bit of dang, and no, someone did a big old doodle at the end. That's for sure. Okay, someone just mentioned. I hear what you're saying. I actually thought, I made this slide at the beginning, and sometimes as the game's going, the squaddies laugh at me because I come up with some of these slides, and at the time I actually did think Marino was playing decent. And then Martinelli, I have defended him to the hill. I did 2 shows, stop using him as a scapegoat. There's many folks in the chat today talking to me about, see, this is why we went against you when you were saying that we're using him as a scapegoat. It was so bad in the first half. Like I said, I felt like Lewis Skelly and Saka were the only ones to come out, smelling of anything decent, bit of Paco Rabanne. But I guess for me, that comment, it's not getting better, and it hasn't gotten better. And it does feel different to this time last year before the Dubai trip. We kept it close points-wise last season. We were playing decent. Havertz wasn't unleashed until after Dubai in that number 9 role. I mean, he really is stinking up the joint so far this season. I know people are going to throw some stats at me and stuff like that. And Havertz is one of his biggest defenders. But a number 9 needs service. And not everyone can keep going deep to get the ball. And the wing backs is correct. So let's talk about Timber being far better on the left than he is on the right. Let's talk about now maybe the respect that Benjamin White deserves and how much this team might be missing Benjamin White. Let's be ready. Let's talk honestly about how a lot of you were ready to trash Benjamin White because of the new shiny toys that we have in the team. Let's talk about Calafiori and how this team has that pizzazz going forward. He's not Maldini yet at the back. There's no doubt about that. But there are elements that you have to consider that we're missing. But the point is, too, that we've seen even when we have those elements, James, that we're still missing something. And that is why at this point, I think it's fair for the fans to start questioning, and many of you send me messages saying it's Brendan Rodgers 2.0. Is he the man to take us over the line? Not going to have a meltdown after one game, James, but it's not one game. In-game management is everything. Arne Slot has found a way today to win with 10 men against a Fulham team that we couldn't break down, right? So it's these little fine margins in these moments that fans are looking at now, even those who supported Mikel Arteta. At some point, you've got to start asking questions about his team selection. And by the way, I know you guys that Thomas Partey didn't start at right back. Stop coming at me with that. Timber was playing right back. James, talk to me about this, because I can see why some fans have major question marks.
Yeah, so I really don't want to. I mean, Josh has taken a lot of the heat off me, so thank you for that. I don't want to. I don't want to, have the chat maybe go to me. Oh, James, you're talking about something that really, we have.
Did I say Liverpool won? I meant they drew. I'm heated. I haven't been heated in a long time. Leave me alone. Go on, James.
The thing is, Sophie, you say about Arne Slot there, yeah, and Liverpool. For me, it goes back to the options that they have at the top of the pitch compared to the options Arsenal have at the top of the pitch. Who on Arsenal's bench at the moment do you see in a forward position? Maybe not as a midfielder, but out of all of the forward options that we have on the bench, who do you think is going to come on and score out of any of them, Sophie?
Why can't
Honestly.
Sterling, when it's this bad, why can't Sterling get a game?
Well,
Why can't he get...
This is what I want to know, Soph. I know that there's been reports that he's been late and he's not been applying himself in training, and that's got him, that's got him put on the naughty seat and everything. But I'm like, okay. Now, again, I hate to do it because I really don't like to sound like I'm digging out players. But watching Martinelli and Trossard for the last few weeks, I have to sit here and say how shit is Sterling in training and everything else that he can't even get a minute. I'm like, how bad what is he doing? What is he doing in training? Because for me, at the moment, okay, he might not have the stature, but you might as well put the Gunnosaurus suit on him because you're paying 140 grand a week for a mascot. He's got 140 grand a week season ticket because that's what Sterling is. Sorry, yeah. Someone put in the comment, oh, so it's transfers again. Great, yeah, it is because we have not addressed. He's wanted a left-sided winger for 3 windows: Rafinha, Mudryk, Nico Williams in the summer, and we've not got any of them. The one we have got on loan, we're refusing to play. So if you don't trust him, then again, I keep going back to it, in January, you have to sign an attacking option that you believe in that has a high output. Because Liverpool have got 4 of them and they all score. Sophie, Gakpo, Nunes, Jota, Salah, they all come in and they all either assist or they score. Diaz, they all do it. And we have 2 at the push. We have Havertz that may score. It depends. And you have Saka Saka gets goals or assists. You've got to do something. That is for me the glaring issue with this side. And I know people will go, yeah, but you're talking about what can we do with the personnel that we've got now? I wish I'd be able to tell you. Because I'm seeing game after game where this is happening. Teams are going to go into a low block against us because they know we can't break it down. And it's either we'll do it by a set piece or we'll do it by potentially Saka may have a moment of, like in the first half, Saka where he dizzies past a few players, plays it into Odegaard, and unfortunately they blocked it. If that goes 1-0, we're talking about a totally different game because then Everton have to come out more and we might have picked them off. I know it's if my auntie had bollocks, she'd be my uncle type of conversations. But unfortunately, this is where we are. For me, it's all down to personnel. And last week against Fulham after the game, Mikel Arteta's comments slightly irked me. Because they asked him about what do you think went wrong? Now, all of us would have said, well, we didn't do enough in the final third. But he went, we weren't perfect for the gut. We have to be completely perfect. So his whole tendency, again, was to be on what the defence didn't do, not on the attack in his midfield, not creating enough. And to me, that gets me with Arteta where I'm like, you're getting Southgate-itis. And I don't like Southgate-itis, Sophie. There's no
cure for that.
Yeah, I don't like where it's all about, I would rather not lose than try to win. And that's how I feel. He is so obsessed with these fine margins and these duels instead of going out there and just winning a football match. And that, to me, is what's going to cost us. And it probably already has cost us now. Winning the league. I have no qualms about us finishing top 4. I think that's, you don't need to panic about that. But in terms of getting the title over the line, I think it's done now. And I hate saying that, but I think it's done.
Josh, where do we go from here? Right? Where do Arsenal go from here? It's not like we don't have a talented team. We definitely have issues. Mikel has issues. The Sterling thing, clearly. Once he writes you off, you're done. It took Kivior, I don't know how many months to be able to come back into the team. And it was purely out of desperation that he had to play him. He holds grudges. He's ruthless and we want him to be ruthless. And we've asked for ruthlessness across the board at Arsenal. for so long. But I think also really good managers understand that even if I hate your guts, if you're going to help me win a game or bring something to the game, I'm going to play you. And I'm wondering if, now I say this, if he's yielding too much. You want your manager to have all the power, right? But you also don't want him to yield arrogant power. So where do we go from here? What does he do? What do we do?
Well, it's a big question that could either be answered very not simply, but there are wider things. I know you can see from the chat. There's calls to go full panic and sack Arteta, and some of the names I've seen that have been in the chat. Sorry, chat. If you're going to call me a clown, I'm going to have to call some of you clowns back. There's some names in there that I think we need to have a look at. And maybe
call them out. Call them out.
I'm pushing anyone calling for Luis Enrique. That's all I'm saying. If you think Arteta's bad, wait until Luis Enrique comes in the door. But yeah, I think it's difficult. For me, I think it's still a tactical thing that can be dealt with on the training grounds. And I can see why Martinelli is getting minutes still over Sterling. I can't see why. We'll put Trossard in there. I think if people know me well, they know my feelings on Trossard. But yeah, for me, I think it's looking at Martinelli's got that great work rate. So if you're going to put a young fullback in today, in Lewis Skelly, and you don't want him to be exposed, which of our left wingers do you start in front of him? And that's the way I think Arteta's approached that lineup. Is that he's gone, well, I'm going to put Martinelli in front of him because I trust him to get back and help Skelly out when needed. And that's the way I think he's approached that conversation. Not who's going to give me the best attacking output. And this isn't Pep. This is the other side, that if you've got two devils on Arteta's shoulders, one of them is Pep Guardiola, the other one is David Moyes. And that's the one that I fear, is that when the David Moyes comes out in Arteta, I think there's also bad reasons to the Pep as well. And that was where I think, Jose, it comes back to exactly what he said, right? That you could see he's thinking, how could I have stopped the opposition? Not how could I break the opposition? And maybe I would have started Gabby Jesus. That's where I'd have looked at something. Is either there's something that needs to happen. And that's why I still feel like the solution is within the squad. There is obviously the other panic button and go January. We could go against January. Who could we get? Maybe there's a chance we can ask Mr. Ancelotti if any of his 100 left wingers that don't get on with each other, if any of those want to come to us. But it's going to be a struggle. So, yeah, I feel like it's a really difficult one. And it's not, I think one of the good things today is we can have that honest conversation without blaming a referee decision or blaming something else. Because I feel like this has been an issue for weeks. We have got, I'm going to have to go back in my mind palace to find the stat, but I'm sure when I last checked for our creativity, so our XG from open play, was something like 14th in the table. That's a problem. That's the issue. We're not creating enough. And I think we can solve that through tactics.
Do you know, after, let's see, a month ago, maybe some of the squaddies can help me here. Maybe it's a bit longer. Had a conversation with Clive Palmer on the show. And he said something with me, and it stuck with me since the day he said it. And, had Harry and Tom and Potsy on in the middle of all that. And, some agreed or disagreed with it. But I felt, and this is why I asked Clive, after the Manchester City game, where we defended it like insane, gladiator heroes, and unfortunately that goal went in at the very end, I felt like something broke in the team that day. Because if you look at our performances since, that's one thing. But I think the mental application is not there this year. I'm not seeing the super passion. I'm not seeing the cocky confidence. I'm not seeing the intimidation factor. I'm not seeing any of that. And that Manchester City game, it felt like they knew they were so close. Like in that last second, they knew they had that game won. And when that happened, something broke because it was the mountain we had to conquer. Last season, we get 4 points off them. We get 4 points off Liverpool. It's like, God, this is it. This is the season. And then drop points to Fulham, which we've done again. We drop points, 6 points to Aston Villa. We drop points to West Ham. That's where we lost the title. But there's something, I think, that Mikel builds the emotion up so much, and it's so intense that when something happens that's negative, there's still that mental impotence where we snap. And I asked Clive if he felt that, and his response was, I think that game gave Mikel a new idea in how to manage going forward, i.e., that it's all starts with defense. You know, we know he likes possession. Possession means nothing if you don't win a game. I hate all that. Some of this modern day crap really pisses me off. Like some teams, why are you playing out the back, Southampton? You're just rubbish. Stop doing that. Like, why do teams do that? It's ridiculous to me. And it's almost like you have to conform to this modern day genius-esque stuff. Sometimes just lump it forward, cross it in, get a goal. I really respect fans who love the tiki-taka, you know, X's and O's and all of that stuff. But the game of football is sometimes much simpler than that. And Clive said, and ever since then, I felt like Mikel Arteta has gone from managing fearlessly to fearfully. He's lost the edge. And I think, James, the team has lost the edge. It's not just about how we've been playing. It's about our mental application. We don't look like we believe in anything this season. Last season, they made me believe. You could see it in their eyes. You could see it every single time we went out to play a match. This season, I don't think they believe. I think they're like Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life right now, you know, and I'm hoping at the very end it all turns and it's positive. But I think the problems run deeper than just tactics, James.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so much that we can go off. I mean, how far do you want me to go back? Today, we've played our 11th different back four. You know, there's no consistency there. And that's due to injuries. That's due to him chopping and changing it, even when they were there. That's, you know, square pegs, round holes, whatever you want to call it. But we've seen it with other sides in this division, Sophie. When they come up against this Man City team, you have 2 or 3 years and then they break you. Because look at Liverpool. When they got it, there was the year there a few after where they just made top 4 because they chasing them for that long breaks you. And I think we've had 2 very, very close years. Hell, we missed out last season by 2 points. 2 points. And I think now in the 3rd year, we are broken a bit. We are fractured. And unfortunately, this looks like the best year because this is the year that they're actually in the mess. This is the year where if you were as perfect as you were last season, you probably win it. But yet, something, like we said there, has completely gone wrong. And I don't think that this is a reason, as much as I respect Clive and for everything that he says and everything he does, because if there's someone that could talk about football, it's definitely Clive Palmer. But I think Arteta has always, since he's even come in at Arsenal, been a guy that is more, instead of going all out to win, I don't want to lose. And there's just sometimes where, you know, I've used the analogy before, so I'll use it again, so stick with me. And I'll try and explain for some of your listeners that might not know him. There's a chef called Heston Blumenthal that makes completely ridiculous concoctions of food. Like he makes English breakfast ice cream and stuff like that. He just makes weird food in weird ways where it's just like, no, do you know what, mate? Just give me a strawberry cheesecake. I don't need all this crap. Just give me, don't give me bloody, I don't know, chicken tikka masala Yorkshire puddings. Just give me a Yorkshire pudding. Stop. And that sometimes I think Arteta, to his own detriment, is trying to reinvent the wheel. And it's like, no, stick to what got you this far because it's good enough. But also add some because, again, all the other teams that we compete with, Sophie, have all addressed, Man City win the league and they still buy an attacking option because they're not happy with the attacking options that have won them the league. We still go, no, we'll stick with what we have when we know what we have isn't good enough. And the thing as well is it creates a cycle of what's even been before these Arteta teams have got good in that they're so bad, who's going to buy them? Like, seriously, some of the attacking players that we've got, we can't give them away with cereal boxes, let alone sell them to people because they're not good enough. They're not good enough. And like Josh said, there is the 2 panic buttons. Obviously, I'm not pressing the sacking panic button, but the January and going out and signing somebody panic button doesn't have to be pressed. It has to be smacked. It has to,
But I think the question I'd
get
go
a
back to
sledgehammer and smash that.
is, do you trust currently any player in world football to get dropped into that left wing and suddenly all of our problems would be solved?
Depends who it is.
Well, no, I don't think though. Even if you gave us Vinicius Junior or Mbappe, actually, probably Mbappe makes it worse. But one of the best left wingers in the world, and you dropped him in there. Even go all the way back into yesteryear. If I could bring Rivaldo back or Ronaldinho, I still think there's a fundamental issue at the moment that is holding us back.
So, Josh, are you saying that if you're going to go get the left guy, you need Gyökeres in the middle?
Oh no!
Give us,
I'm not taking.
Dot to dot it for me, so I understand why it wouldn't be an upgrade or an improvement.
I shouldn't jump in on individual players like that one, but I wouldn't get a guy who did all right in the Championship who now plays in a league that's a lot more open and struggled against our back four that apparently is shit at the moment. But I would look at. Well, this is what I'm saying, that it has to come from the manager at the moment, or not just the manager, but from the coaches, and going, actually, we need a fullback pushing on. We need to make more ambitious choices. And it's more than just a player, I think. We saw so many performances today that weren't quite right that I don't think it's just resolved by saying, I'm going to change one of the players. I think it's more than that. It's a bigger than that.
Josh,
and we've still got, well,
I look at the way the 2 main left wingers that we've got at the moment, which again, sorry, I'm repeating myself, are Trossard and Martinelli.
And they've both been terrible.
Yeah, but the main thing for me is how they're applying themselves in the games, Josh. And I'm like, if you buy somebody, like for me, I'll chuck a name out there because I'm not afraid to put my bollocks on the line. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I love Mbeumo. Now, I know Mbeumo normally plays on the right, but you can put Mbeumo anywhere across Arsenal's front three. If you put Mbeumo on that left wing, that sends him, because he's got a £50 million clause because he's got 18 months left on his contract. I would rather Kudus. Kudus is the one that I want. In the summer, I said, please go to West Ham again, pay the 85 million and go get Kudus. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I would go get Mbeumo, because then that goes to Martinelli and Trossard. If you don't sell one of them, I think probably one of them would leave if we did buy somebody, but there we go. But that would at least make him think, oh God, well, I'm definitely sat on the bench now, so I need to buck my idea. Because for me, the way Trossard and Martinelli are playing at the moment is they know, well, I'm still going to play. I'm starting next week anyway. You know, when you've got a system that allows you to be a 6 out of 10 with no consequence, that's why you get a 6 out of 10 performance each week out of a Trossard and Martinelli, because there's nobody else that's challenging them for that place.
Yeah, I'd be looking at Arteta's tactics of why we're so one-sided as well.
Yes.
Push more stuff down that flank. If he put as much effort into building the build-up play on the right flank and put that kind of effort into the left flank, I think we'd see better performances as well. That's the other thing, is we're too lopsided. And actually, if we start putting more pressure down that flank, as you said, the reason why Ashley Young looked like he could, he could have a cigarette on the go today against Martinelli is what was Martinelli to do? There was nothing else for him. It was just him versus Ashley Young, one-on-one.
That was damning. That was really damning, wasn't it?
It was damning to go, Arteta, we can all see it. Martinelli can see it and go, come on, someone give me a hand and I can get round this pensioner. We could all do it. But it's just something that just seems to be missing. And yeah, I still feel it's an issue in our creativity and build-up play that isn't necessarily down to personnel, and more about, to use an narcissism, take the handbrake off. It does still feels like we're playing with that handbrake on. And we're then resorting to, and we've resorted for the entirety of this season, to go, let's just try and get a corner. Let's just try and get a set play. Because that's what it's been, fundamentally. I think Rice has got through games for us purely because he can put a decent corner in some times.
It's so funny.
Games.
Someone just wrote that it's almost like we've started relying, forget what people say about us being Stoke and whatever, that's all just bollocks. But a lot of people have been saying it's almost like we feel like we can bail ourselves out now with a set piece. And you become, go on.
As you said, we've lost our swagger. And I think the player that still had swagger after that Man City game was Saliba, because he always had swagger. And if you notice, since that red card he got a few games later against Bournemouth, it's not the same guy anymore.
This is what I'm saying.
He's a little bit behind. Yeah, it's all in the head. And that's why I'm saying it's not necessarily the personnel, and you've got to look at not necessarily the manager, because this isn't just on one person. If we'd managed to, if there was a dodgy refereeing decision and we still got the end result, someone got sent off, do you think all the analysts are going, well, that's a week off for us then? Do you think they didn't analyse after Bournemouth or after Brighton when we got players unfairly sent off? I feel like there's an issue around it as well. And we've got a good opportunity at the moment with the guy who looks after that entire thing handing his notice in. As much as you'd say, oh, this is on Arteta because he's the manager, he reports to somebody who's just put their notice in. So for me, it's about getting a sporting director in. That's where I think it comes. And I annoyed a lot of people on Reddit by suggesting a certain person that has just left Man United might end up coming in. I think it might be a bad option, but that's where it becomes such an important decision now, is who's going to be that sporting director? Who's going to push Arteta to be better? Because I think Edu has got exhausted doing that. And you can see that that's where we've got to now, for me, that this team scored, over 100 goals in all competitions last season. I'm going to put it out there, and James, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I reckon probably not all of them were from corners and set pieces. I reckon we scored some goals from open play last season, and I think a good number of them were from there. And I think that's the issue we've got right now. And
they all weren't from the right hand side either.
They weren't all from the right hand side.
Yeah.
And I'm going to inverse this whole thing. We have a problem in the Premier League. This isn't an issue in Europe. What we have done is we've built a team that if Liverpool weren't top of the Champions League group at the moment, or the table, people would be saying Arteta's built a team for the Champions League this season. That's what he's going for. And that might have been the idea in the summer, was thinking, we've got a chance at the Champions League. We are probably, especially last season, at one point, we were favourites with Real Madrid, Man City, then it was us for the Champions League. And we've gone, you know what? There might be an opportunity here. We could see how difficult it is to win the league, because you've got to be perfect for 38 games. And that's insane to ask of any team. But you know what? Maybe just, 15 games? to be, and you don't have to be perfect in all of them. You've got to be perfect in the right ones. And you got the Champions League trophy, something we've never won. And that's where I could see that to me looks like what we've done in the summer is we've built ourselves for the Champions League.
I having spoken to the people at the club, I mean, they definitely, it's the baton that opposing fans keep battering us with, and it's the one that many want. And it seems like in a year, no one ever wants to say it's a down year for Real Madrid, because they could be absolute garbage and still win it. Bayern Munich, a little bit transitional. Manchester City in the dumpster, but you can't rule them out. Yes, I think we look like a team better built for the Champions League. The issue that we're having is that Chelsea are a lot better and Liverpool are a lot better. I think most fans could swallow Liverpool being better just because they've been so good for so long. Chelsea were a laughingstock just a few months ago. And to see Maresca doing what he's doing, they're above us in the league. For a lot of fans, if Chelsea finish above us, whether they win the league or not, we don't know. But even if they finish above us, it's a bad indictment, I think, on Mikel Arteta. Because you can't regress like that. You have to keep moving forward. Right. We have run out of time, but let all the kids know where they can find you. James, I didn't put the banner up. I could do a quick one, but just let everyone know where they can find you. I was so busy being angry about the game, I forgot to put your handles up.
That's okay. So yeah, I am at LLCoolJames91 on Twitter. And then my YouTube channel and my podcast links for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even the crap ones, even the ones that people probably don't use, I'm on them as well. So,
I'll put it in the description of the show.
I'm really down with the kids because I'm on the TikTok as well. But
you,
they love me on TikTok for some reason. I get a lot of love on there. People on TikTok love when you dig out certain players. It's not like YouTube. TikTok just seems to thrive on give me more negative stuff about certain players. They love it over there. So
very good. Not sure if this is good or bad thing, but Josh has scored 125 points from Newman. That's mega. Josh, you've changed your handle. Is there a reason for this? You used to be Josh the Human 23, and now
used to be, and no one could find me. Yes. And now I had been umming and ahhing of whether or not I did drop my complete social media presence due to some changes on the platform. But don't worry, I'm not on Blue Sky yet. And I probably won't. I'll probably just delete it instead. But you will find me now at Odegaard Milk. I had a trip to Norway, and if anyone knows anything about the milk in Norway, it's all got Odegaard's face on it. And not jet lagged. It was 2 a.m. I walked into the hotel with my partner and said very excitedly to a probably very confused and definitely very confused hotel receptionist as I pointed and shouted Odegaard at the coffee machine as I could see his face in the cupboard as they had the milk just there. So I am now Odegaard Milk. And you will find exactly that picture there.
Oh dear. Well, we love it. And thank you both for joining. It's been really good to have you back. We're going to do it again, definitely before the season ends. Maybe we can have a few more chats. Everyone's really enjoyed you, whether we agree or disagree. Thank you so much, Squaddies, for the part you've played in today's show. It isn't a show without each and every one of you. It is your show. And unfortunately, Arsenal couldn't pull it together for the day today. You can still, however, some housekeeping issues real quick. Football prizes, the Ipswich versus Arsenal match day prize is still up for grabs. Go get your ticket today. It ends on Tuesday the 17th. Don't forget to I had a great story sent in yesterday for the Invincibles collection and coin. Don't forget to go visit our friends at Zenith Coins. If you're looking for a gift, you get 15% off using Squad 15. But and if you want to enter to win this beautiful Invincibles collection, coin collection, email me, thehighburysquad@gmail.com for your favorite story, whether it's happy, sad, or rad from the Invincibles season. And of course, there's the North Bank coin, the Clock End coin, and the Arsenal coin. And those are really reasonably priced if you're looking for a stocking stuffer. It was the Kevin Campbell derby, and well done to Arsenal for the billboard they put up at the outside the Emirates. Got lots of pictures and images from each and every one of you. The BBC also acknowledging it. A great picture here of Rocky and Reyes and Kev. So many of you sent photos in. Thank you so much for sharing. This one from Lower North Bank, which is actually one of my favorites. He was on the front of the program too. This one, courtesy of our good friend Tom Canton. This kind of choked me up seeing this in the stadium. His family were there. I think they would have absolutely loved it. So even though we didn't get the result today, let's always remember that as upset as we are, there are some things that are bigger than football. But the big man himself would have been seething today, absolutely seething. Because even though he loved
probably
Everton,
at me and Josh, probably at me and
probably,
Josh.
probably.
We know he hated you sitting on the fence, and a 0-0. Oh, that's going to have riled him right up.
Oh, yeah, totally. And as much as he loved Everton, he would always want Arsenal to batter Everton. And I announced this yesterday, but really proud to have been made an official ambassador of the Kevin Campbell Foundation, and will be working with them on a variety of different projects going forward as well. There's an announcement on Monday from the Arsenal Foundation, who are also official partners, on a brilliant initiative that they'll be working on together with the foundation. Okay, guys, listen, I would say at this point, keep it together. Don't lose your marbles. I have been defending the team, and I have been believing that, you know, it's still possible. A title isn't won in December, but it does feel after the Fulham result, the Everton result, that maybe the Premier League has passed us by. The Champions League is still there. Let's not forget, we've got the domestic cups, but is that enough? Is that going to appease Arsenal fans? The daggers, the knives, the darts, they'll all be out. And opposing fans will call us bottlers again, and the media will go for us. Just remember to be kind to each other. And whether we agree or disagree, let's always keep it respectful. Josh, James, thanks again. Squaddies, I love you. Be back on Monday for a special Monday Madness with the real North Banksy. That is right. North Banksy will be joining the show. You're not going to want to miss that. Have an epic weekend. All right. And don't forget the rule on this show. There's only one: to tell your loved ones you love them. Until then, at ease, Squaddies, at ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Sorry, we're still live. Just, oh, God, you guys crack me up.
Oh, rude.
We're really leaving now, guys.